Ashfield, you're not
I'm in. I'm in.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just not wearing a mask.
Is that the new Tata? Fancy,
It
is that
is.
you?
It is.
Mazel tov,
Mazel tov,
Ben.
Fancy. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
L'chvoid
you.
Oviatzma, look at that.
Thank you.
Wow, that's mysterious nefesh.
Are you with your baby now?
I'm with.
This is the first
Yeah.
daf she's learning, Eruvin. You can tell this is the first daf she learned, Eruvin. Before she even has a name. She has a name?
Not yet. Shabbos by Mincha, Meretz Hashem.
Before she even has a name, she's already learning daf yomi. Okay.
She's already learning Daf Yomi. That's the way to roll.
Okay. Hopefully Yosy will tone down the jokes today.
When I had my first daughter, my Rosh Hashiva told me, Yosef Zalman, you better start becoming a mensch. 18 years, people will forget. But now, less than 18 years, people are going to remember. You better start learning. You better make a mensch out of yourself. Once you have a daughter, that people start keeping track. She's a lot of nachas from me. She's already a bas talmid chacham.
Amen.
Zok to Gemara, Omer Rabba. Rabba said, Ki havinu beirav. When I was by Rav Huna, Iboyalon, we had the following shaila, an interesting shaila. Bar beirav, the Yosef Batanisa, the Maila Shabbos. The Talmidei Chachamim who were sitting in a tinius on Erev Shabbos. And the question is, why were they ever in a tinius Erev Shabbos? So either they were makabel, their own tinius, maybe the tinius chaloim, or the other thing that some Rishonim learned is that when there was no rain, they slowly ratcheted up the level of concern and the level of tefillah. So before the Hamoinam, before there were mass fasts for everybody, there was just the Yechidim of the generation or the city, they would be the ones to fast. Situation where your Bar Beirav was fasting and it's on Friday, are you supposed to finish the fast and come into Shabbos hungry? Or are you supposed to break your fast before Shabbos? Loi have biyado. Rav Huna did not know the answer. So we have to keep that in mind. Rav Huna did not have an answer. Also, Rav Yehuda. Then they came to Rav Yehuda, and again, V'loi have biyado. It was not. He didn't know the answer. So Rav Huna didn't know the answer, and Rav Yehuda didn't know the answer. I'm just shutting off my video because my internet seems to be a little slow and I don't want to get cut off. So Amarava, is anybody using this? Okay, no, we'll leave it. Amarava, Nechaji Anon. Let's see. So basically, Rav Huna didn't have the answer and Rav Yehuda didn't have the answer. So Nechaji Anon, let's see. The Tanya. Tisha B'Av Shechol Yos B'Shabbos. If Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, V'chein Erev Tisha B'Av Shechol Yos B'Shabbos, or if Erev Tisha B'Av is on Shabbos. So the halacha is oichel v'shoisa kol tzarkai. You can eat whatever you need to eat. Umayla al shulchanai, and you can bring on your table, unlike a regular Erev Tisha B'Av where you're not supposed to have more than one dish. If it's Shabbos Erev Tisha B'Av, you can bring anything on your table. Afilu kesuda shloime b'shaitai, even like the Suda of Shloime in his heyday. And Rashi tells us that Shlomo Melech was a king, and then he lost his malchus, and he was a commoner. Then he became a king again. So the Sudas that Shlomo Melech ate when he was a king, royal meals, even that you're allowed to have on Shabbos on Tisha B'Av or on Shabbos Erev Tisha B'Av. Chol Yos Tisha B'Av Erev Shabbos. What if Tisha B'Av was Erev Shabbos? Now we don't have that anymore. And the reason why we don't have Tisha B'Av and Erev Shabbos is because it's because you can have Bedu Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I don't think you can have Pesach. Won't fall on those days because I think the day that the first day of Pesach falls out on Tisha B'Av falls out on that day, and it's all because if it would work out that way, then Hoshana Rabbah would be on a Shabbos, and that's the biggest no-no. They adjust the calendar to make sure that Hoshana Rabbah should never fall out on Shabbos, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to klap Shabbos. So because of that, nowadays Tisha B'Av never comes out on Shabbos. But in those days, Chol Liyos Tisha B'Av Erev Shabbos, Mavian like kibetza v'oichel. You bring him a kibetza to eat before Shabbos. He shouldn't go in hungry. Kidei shelo yikanes l'Shabbos k'sha'u ma'una. So he shouldn't go into Shabbos when he's hungry. Oh, so you see that you're supposed to eat before you go in to. You see, you're supposed to eat before you go into Shabbos. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Pamachas. Once upon a time, Hayunu Yoshvin l'fnei Rabbi Akiva. We were sitting in front of Rabbi Akiva. The Tisha B'Av shechol Yos b'erev Shabbos haya, and there was Tisha B'Av that fell out on Erev Shabbos. Ve'viloi beitza migulgelis. They brought him a somewhat sluya raka, Rashi says, which means it was soft boiled or slightly cooked. The gama and Rabbi Akiva ate it beloy melach, without salt. Beloy shehaya toivla, not because he was hungry, rather elalaharis l'talmidim halacha, to show the talmidim halacha. So this is a raya. This is a raya that you're supposed to eat before Shabbos. You're supposed to break your fast before Shabbos. Now there are those who are going to argue on this. So Rashi said, so Tosfos brings down in the small little words on the top Tosfos, the first rach, Kabbalah biyadenu ki Rabbi Akiva oisa shana mesukan haya. He was very, very sick. Ve'aviyah the Rabbi Akiva haroifim legameya beitza megugelas va'achres hayoyim. They brought in food for him at the end of the day. So really, you can't bring a raya from that you're supposed to break your fast before Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva was served food because it was a chayil masukin. So how is it that Rabbi Yehuda brought a raya from the fact that Rabbi Akiva ate? Zoktosh's Rabbi Yehuda loy diktik, he wasn't medayik in what was going on, and he didn't pay attention to the fact that Rabbi Akiva was a chayil masukin. That's why he brought a raya from Rabbi Akiva, who ate, because Rabbi Yehuda didn't realize he ate because he was sick. He didn't realize that the reason why Rabbi Akiva ate is only because he was very unhealthy. So he said, look, that's why he was on Shabbos. I'll call upon him. Tosfos says that really you don't have a raya from there because Rabbi Akiva was sick. But the Minchas HaLuzer says you do have a raya from here. Because the Minchas HaLuzer brings a raya from here that if someone is not well and they have to eat on Tisha B'Av, on Yom Kippur, they have to break their fast, they should not do it in public. They should do it concealed without anybody knowing. And the fact that Rabbi Akiva, even though he was a chayil masukin, but he ate in public, that proves that you're supposed to eat. Because if he only ate because he was a chayla, he would have eaten where no one would have seen it. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda brings a raya from Rabbi Akiva that Erev Shabbos, if there's a fast, even Tisha B'Av, you're supposed to break your fast. Rabbi Yosy Omer, Misanu Mashlam, absolutely not. You fast until the end. Now, the only fast by us that could ever come out on Friday, where we actually fast, is a Asar B'Tevis. If I'm not mistaken, this year, if I listened to Rabbi Heber, who was one of the guests on the Aguda Broadcasting Network, I believe he said this year, Asar B'Tevis does fall out on Erev Shabbos. It never falls out on Shabbos, and they say that if it falls out on Shabbos, we would have to fast Asar B'Tevis as well, meaning Asar B'Tevis is more chomer than Tisha B'Av. And the reason for that is Asar B'Tevis was the very first problem that came up. It was the very first problem that came up, and that's where our downfall started. And it's brought down that our downfall started then. The Geula, the chain of events that's going to lead to the Geula will also start on Asar B'Tevis. So Asar B'Tevis is a very important day for Tefillah, and therefore no matter which day it fell out on, we're going to have to fast and daven. Amar Rabbi Yosy, don't you agree to me? Don't you agree to me? If Tisha B'Av fell out on Sunday, Shemafsik mi boyjoin. You don't wait till 72 to start your fast. You have to start your fast already before Shkia. Told me, yeah, you're right. When Tisha B'Av falls out on a Sunday, of course, you have to stop eating already on Shabbos. Amar Lahem, so he told them, Mali likonis ba kisha umana. What's the difference between going into Shabbos when you're hungry, and we say that you want to suggest that you break your fast? Mali lotes mimena kisha umana. Yet, if we see that when you leave Shabbos, you're allowed to leave hungry because you're supposed to stop eating already before Shabbos is over. So by the same token, coming into Shabbos, you should also not be able to break your fast. Amrullah told them there's a very big difference. If you start fasting a little early, big deal. You've eaten all day, you're not hungry yet. It's just the beginning of the fast. That's why you could stop eating early on Shabbos. That's not a justification for the fact that you should come into the Shabbos hungry because you haven't eaten the whole day. And therefore, don't bring me a raya from the fact that you stop eating early. That's not a raya that you should not break your fast before Shabbos. Now, interesting enough, I remember when I was in Philadelphia Yeshiva, the boys would start getting drunk already Shabbos Zocher. They didn't wait for Purim. And what did they say? They said when it says Chai Vinish, Lebesumi Bepuria, they had a kshayla. Is the mitzvah to get drunk on Purim, or is the mitzvah to be drunk on Purim? On the tzad that the mitzvah is to be drunk on Purim, you have to start drinking already before, so you should be drunk on Purim. So there are those who learn that the kindness of Tisha B'Av, you have to be already mu'una when Tisha B'Av comes. So if you eat right till the second up to Tisha B'Av, then you're not fasting at the beginning of Tisha B'Av. It takes a couple of hours till you're mu'una. And that's why you have to stop eating a little early. But the shayla is, this teretz to Rabbi Yosy was such a good teretz. How could you bring me a raya from the fact that you stop eating a couple of hours early, an hour early before Shkia time, you stop eating when much of Shabbos is Tisha B'Av? Why would that be a raya that you can't break your fast before Shabbos? The Gemara is a very pashut taina. Big deal, you start fasting a little early. But coming into Shabbos after you're starved already for 24 hours, avada, you should have to break your fast. So what was the havamina of Rabbi Yosy to say that you have a right? Rabbi Elvin spoke it out. I forgot who spoke it out. He spoke it out beautifully. The biggest tightness, the biggest pain is when you're in the middle of eating shalosh shudas, and you're in the middle of eating your cheesecake for shalosh shudas, and you're about to put the last forkful into your mouth, and your wife says, it's Shkia, you can't eat anymore. That's a mamash aninu. You're in the middle of eating and you have to stop eating. That's a mamash aninu. So that's why Yosef holds the fact that you have to stop eating in the middle, that's the same inui as coming into Shabbos hungry, even though you're full at the time, but it's such a difficulty to stop mid-bite that would be parallel to coming into Shabbos when you're hungry. Of course, the Gemara said it's not a raya because at the end of the day, you've just eaten. So for almost
Yosy, who said that? Who said that the stopping of the eating?
Rabbi Elvin spoke it out. I forgot who he spoke it out from.
It's like,
but I can appreciate that.
It's similar to what the Rav said about the fasting during a certain tshuva.
That's right. You should leave over some.
Leave over a piece of chicken. Yeah, it was right.
That's right. So that's the moment of torture.
Yeah. So
we have here a machlok which Rabbi Yehuda said he brought a right from Rabbi Kiva that you're supposed to break your fast on Tisha B'Av before Shabbos, and Rabbi Yosy said you have to finish it. Well, Amar Ula said halacha like Rabbi Yosy. Halacha is like Rabbi Yosy, and in fact, if Tisha B'Av is erev Shabbos, you're not allowed to break your fast until it's night. In fact, tomorrow would we follow Rabbi Yosy Shita? Or many we learned, Ein goyzrin tainis ala tzibur. You're not allowed to make a tainis for a tzibur. Rosh Chodashim on Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim. But if they were already in a series of fasts, they had maybe made a fast for 30 days for rain or whatever. So they started the series, and it stretched into Rosh Chodesh. It stretched into Chanukah. It stretched into Purim. Ein mafsikin. You continue to fast even though it's Chanukah and Purim. Divrei Rabbi Gamliel. That's what Rabbi Gamliel said. But Amar Meir said, Aval Pisha Amar Rabbi Gamliel ein mafsikin. Even though Rabbi Gamliel says you continue fasting, even though Hanukkah comes, even though Purim comes, even though Rosh Chodesh comes, but you relax it a little bit. Like the Rav likes to use the word relax. You relax the tinus already. Moide haya she'ein mashlimin. Even though you have to fast on Hanukkah and you have to fast on Purim, but you don't fast the whole day, you stop in the middle. Now here's the punchline. So too, if Tisha B'Av fell out on Erev Shabbos, you stop fasting early. Not like Rabbi Yosy. Utanya, we learned, Lacher P'tirasai Shal Rabbi Gamliel, after Rabbi Gamliel was nifter, who paskined that you stop your fast early. Nichnas Rabbi Yeshua lahafaresh tavarev. Rabbi Yeshua wanted to go and slug up Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel, we said, Rabbi Meir said Rabbi Gamliel would break his fast at the end of the day before Shabbos came in. And Rabbi Yeshua came after he died to say, no, you're not allowed to break your fast at all. If Tisha B'Av was Erev Shabbos, you got to fast till the very end. Amad Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri al Raglav. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri got up on his feet. V'amar, he said, Chaziyana, look at me here. The basar reisha gufa also. The head, the guf follows the head. In other words, who's our head? Our head is Rabbi Gamliel. So we have to follow in his ways, and we don't have a right to deviate, to change from the tradition that Rabbi Gamliel set up. And that is that you break your fast before Shabbos. So he protested against Rabbi Yeshua, who wanted to asser people from eating until into Shabbos. So it states, Kol Yom of Rabbi Gamliel, all the days of Rabbi Gamliel, Kavanu Halacha Kamois, we passed like Rabbi Gamliel in his lifetime. But Akshav, I'm sorry, so Rabbi Yochanan said, all the days of Rabbi Gamliel, we passed like him. Akshav Rabbi Yeshua, now that he's not here, at Mevakash Levatel Dvarav, you want to be Mevatel, the words of Rabbi Gamliel, Yeshua ain't Shaimelach. We're not going to listen to you. Shekvar Nikva Halacha Rabbi Gamliel. We passed already like Rabbi Gamliel. V'lo Hoya Adam She'ir B'davar Klum, and nobody argued on it. So you see here very clearly that we passed like Rabbi Gamliel, and we break our fast on Tisha B'Av before Shabbos. So how could Ula pass like Rabbi Yosy, who says that you have to fast into Shabbos? So after Gemara, B'dayre Shor Rabbi Gamliel, Avod Rabbi Gamliel. In Rabbi Gamliel's generation, we passed like Rabbi Gamliel. And after Rabbi Gamliel died, and Rabbi Yosy took over, and B'dayre Rabbi Yosy, Avod Rabbi Yosy. Frank the Gemara, B'dayre Rabbi Gamliel, Avod Rabbi Gamliel. In Rabbi Gamliel's times, people broke their fast before Shabbos. But Tanya, Amr Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Tzaddik, Ani Mibnei Sanav ben Binyamin. I was from the children of the son of Binyamin. And even though Rabbi Lazar ben Tzaddik, so even though Sanav ben Binyamin was a Kohen, nevertheless, from his mother's side, he came from Binyamin. And Pam Achas Chal Tisha B'Av Liyos B'Shabbos. Now, what's unique about the family of Sanav? They had the right to bring wood to the Beis HaMikdash on the 10th day of Av. And the day that they brought wood to the Beis HaMikdash was for their family. It was a Yom Tov. It was an official Yom Tov because that was the day that they brought wood to the Beis HaMikdash. And one day, Pamachas Chol Tisha B'Av Liyos B'Shabbos. Tisha B'Av fell out on Shabbos. V'dachinu Lachar Shabbos. And it was pushed to Sunday. But it was pushed to the day that's a Yom Tov. Because the 10th of Av is a Yom Tov by us. And now Tisha B'Av is on our Yom Tov. So what did we do? V'shaninu boy, we fasted that Tisha B'Av. It was a nitcha onto day 10, which is our Yom Tov. So we fasted. But we didn't finish the fast. We didn't fast the whole day. Because it was a Yom Tov for us. And this is the makor that if Tisha B'Av is a nitcha and there's a bris, there are those who in the afternoon actually break their fast to eat parasudas of bris, the sandik and the balbris. It comes from this. It's a Yom Tov and it's a nitcha, and that's why they didn't finish the fast. Now, Taima, the Yom Tov, the reason why they were able to break their fast is because the nitcha of Tisha B'Av, which is pushed to the 10th day of Av was a Yom Tov for them. So since it was a Yom Tov for them, that very day, they relaxed the fast. Ha'erev Yom Tov. But every other year, where Tisha B'Av was the day before their Yom Tov, Mashlimin, they finished the fast of Tisha B'Av. So you see clearly, not like Rabbi Gamliel. You see they finished the fast of Tisha B'Av, and Rashi tells us that Sanav ben Binyamin lived in the time of Rabbi Gamliel. So you see, even in Rabbi Gamliel times, Tisha B'Av, which was the day before their Yom Tov, they finished Tisha B'Av. On Ravina, there's a very big difference. Shiny Yom Tov Shel Devrayim. This is not a real Shabbos, a real Yom Tov. It's their own personal Yom Tov. Mitoich Shemisanan Boy shows the fact is they even have to fast. If Tisha B'Av was nitcha to the 10th day of Av, even though it's their Yom Tov, they actually fast on their own Yom Tov. So you see, it's not such a strong Yom Tov. They even have to fast on the Yom Tov. So since they even have to fast on the Yom Tov, therefore, if Tisha B'Av, when Tisha B'Av comes out the day before the Yom Tov, Mashlimin Boy Arvius. But Shabbos, Hoyel Ve'ein Misanim Bo Shoyis, Shabbos you never fast at all if Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos. Ein Mashlimin Bo Arvius. Therefore, if Tisha B'Av was the day before Shabbos, Avada, we pass like Rabbi Gamliel, and you would stop fasting before Shabbos. So there's an interesting shaila. What happens if Tisha B'Av is nitcha to the 10th of Av? What does that mean? Does that mean that the fast is on the 10th of Av? Or does it mean that the fast is on Tisha B'Av, but it's a nitcha? Lamai nafkamina. What if somebody's bar mitzvah or bas mitzvah is on the 10th day of Av? And that year, the 10th day of Av was on a Sunday. So Tisha B'Av was a nitcha. So this bar mitzvah boy, does he have to fast on Sunday? If the whole tainus is only being mashlim, the tainus of the 9th day of Av, which fell out on Shabbos, well, this child was a cotton at that point, and he didn't have a chiyuv to fast on Tisha B'Av. So now that it's nitcha to the 10th of Av, where he's ready bar mitzvah, he shouldn't have to fast because he's only chiyuv to fast to mashlim from Shabbos, and you have a right to that. I think he brings down from the Mechzaluz, he brings a raya on when Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos. Even though we fast Sunday, but we're not allowed to learn Shabbos afternoon. Devar Shabbatzina, our relations are usher. So you see, the real day is really Tisha B'Av. If the real day is Tisha B'Av, then a bar mitzvah boy whose bar mitzvah was Sunday, or a bas mitzvah whose bas mitzvah was Sunday, shouldn't have to fast. But I think Rabbi Vosner says that they would have to fast because he said that when Chazal pushed off the fast from the 9th to the 10th day actually becomes the real fast, so they would be mechuyev to fast. Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef, we know at the end of his life he forgot.
Yossi, probably part of that psak is that don't we say that you're really supposed to fast on the 10th, but we're too weak, we can't fast both days? Like the base mission was still burning on the 10th, so there's an element of avelus on the 10th in and of itself.
There's an element of fasting on the 10th day itself, you mean?
Yeah, so
I hear maybe that's
it's a different shiloh.
Very nice. That's a good order. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, Loi Shemila Hashmaisa. I didn't hear any halacha. Zok Rashi, I never heard that Ula Paskin like Rabbi Yosef that you have to fast till the end of Tisha B'Av if it fell out on Erev Shabbos. Amar Le Abaye, what are you talking about, Rabbi Yosef? At Amrit Nehelen, you taught us this psak of Ula. And I'll even tell you in what context it was. The Aho Amrit Nehelen, it was in this context. And you learned that brayso that we just quoted earlier. And Gojrin Tainis Al Tiba B'Rosh Chadashim. And at the end of the brayso, it says that Tisha B'Av, let's go back to the brayso. It says, but on Ein Gojrin Tainis Al Tiba, and at the end of the brayso, it says, V'chein b'Tisha B'Av Shechol Yos B'Erev Shabbos. You stop fasting early. So you yourself quoted that brayso of Armin Allah, and you told us, Rabbi Yosef, you told us about this halacha that Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Zu Divrei Reb Meir, Shama Mishum Rabbi Gamliel, Al V'Chachamim Armim Mis'ana U'Mashlim. So the Chachamim is referring to Rabbi Yosef, and you paskin like you have to fast till the end of the day. So my love, Akulu, this brayso was talking about a lot of things. It was talking about the Tanaisim on Chanuk, on Purim, and it was also talking about Tisha B'Av. So my lavakulu, when it says Masanu Mashlim, it's referring to everything in the Brisa, including Tisha B'Av. So it was only going to Chanukah and Purim that if you already started to fast, a sequence of fasts, then you would fast the whole day of Purim. But Lav Davke Tisha B'Av on Erev Shabbos, maybe that would not be mechuyev to fast. And Hachanami Mistaver, it's Mistaver to say that when Rabbi Yehuda made his comment, he wasn't referring to Erev Shabbos, he was only referring to Chanukah and Purim that you fast. You know why? If you're going to say that Rabbi Yehuda meant even Tisha B'Av that came out on Erev Shabbos, that you have to fast into Shabbos, well, the very first place when we started the Sugya, they asked Rav Huna the Shaila, and he didn't know the halacha, right? The first person that they asked the Shaila if he's supposed to finish the fast, which Rav Huna didn't know. Then they asked Rabbi Yehuda, and he didn't know. Well, if Rabbi Yehuda didn't know, how is he so sure here that you're supposed to fast? So Rabbi Yehuda didn't have the answer. So how could you bring me a raya from Rabbi Yehuda over here that you don't fast the whole day? According to that svara, that since Rabbi Yehuda didn't know, it's a raya that he couldn't have held that this was going on Tisha B'Av. Well, how did Darsh Marzutra b'shmei Rav Huna? Marzutra said in the name of Rav Huna, halacha misanu mashlim. You'd have the same problem because the first person who was asked this shaila, where we started today, was Rav Huna. Rav Huna didn't know the answer. So how could Marzutra quote from Rav Huna, halacha misanu mashlim, if Rav Huna didn't know the answer? Ella, what are you going to have to say? Originally, when Rav Huna was asked the shaila, he didn't know, and then eventually he came up with a psak, and Marzutra was quoting Rav Huna after Rav Huna came to his psak. Well, then Hakanami, you could say the same thing. Hamakama Dishama, where Rav Yehuda said, I don't know the answer, was before he thought about the psak. But Halabasa Dishama, after Rav Yehuda heard about the psak, then he held that you don't have to fast all day. Dorsh Marzutra Meshed Rav Huna, halacha misanu umashlimin. Halacha lamaisa, if Tisha B'Av falls on Erev Shabbos, you finish the fast completely.
Is that what we do in Asar B'Tevis? We go into Shabbos fasting?
Yep.
I don't remember.
It's not so late. It's Tishkafel.
Yeah, no. I just don't. I know it's happened because I remember the Rav speaking about it. So it's happened in my 20-something years living here. But
it happens every 27 years. That's exactly what Heber said. It's a 27-year cycle, and every 27 years it happens.
It's only once every 27 years? I thought it was more.
No, can't be.
No?
I don't think so.
Well, there's a certain cycle, he said. Like this year also.
We had it not that long ago, and we had it, I think, around 1988. I think.
Let's go, Mike, start Googling. Where's our Victor?
Where's our Victor? Right.
We've had it. We've had it in
27
years. We've had it.
88
we've had it. I've only been living here 27 years.
I definitely remember it.
But I know that
I remember breaking my fast on a kiddush, on a cup of kiddush.
Oh, he could be said this year is 240. It's a 247-year cycle. I Heber had a lot to say about it. But I know this year, almost all of the Yom Tovim fall out Shabbos Sunday.
Right.
There's the only Yom Kippur. I think only Yom Kippur and maybe Shavuos, but all the Yom Tovim come out Shabbos Sunday. Kazak El Gemara. Mi shaitzu nachrim. Now we know that if you leave the Tchum, then you're stuck in your Dalet Amos. You can't go anywhere. Well, what if you were kidnapped and a goy schlepped you out of your city, out of the Tchum? Or you had some lapse of consciousness and you found yourself suddenly out of the Tchum. So the halach is Ein Le'el Dalet Amos. Even if you were taken out against your will and you just showed up there, it doesn't matter. If you're out of the Tchum, you're stuck with Dalet Amos. And there's a big shadow. What does Dalet Amos mean? Does it mean a radius of Dalet Amos, or does it mean Dalet Amos, which would be 8 Amos square, or does it mean Dalet Amos and you have 2 Amos around, but you're basically stuck in your immediate neighborhood? What if the guy then brought him back on the same Shabbos into his city? It's as if he never left, and he can go back to his original perimeter, the whole city. What if they brought him into a different city? And it's a walled city. And what's unique about that is is that now the whole city becomes your Dalit Amis. Or Nosnu Badir, they put them in a big pen which was fenced, maybe Soyar or some other pen that was fenced. But at the end of the day, now you have a big area that you're fenced in with. Now that entire fenced in area becomes your Dalit Amis. So even though you're only allowed Dalit Amis, but if you're in a specific enclosed area, that's your Dalit Amis. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Kiva, ain't loyal Dalit Amis. No, you're still stuck with Dalit Amis. You don't get to spread out into the whole area that you're in. Story time. Ma'aser Shabo mi Palanderson. People came from a city, Palanderson, and v'hevligus v'nosam bayam, and they were coming by boat. And Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Holcha was Kula. So their boat left the Tchum because it left the city, and now it goes out of the Tchum. So you're in a boat that's out of the Tchum. So Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah felt that they're allowed to walk around the entire ship. They didn't limit themselves to Dalit Amis, similar to the case that we just quoted, that Mahalachas Kula. They didn't budge from the Dalit Amis. They wanted to be machmer on themselves, and Rashi says the Gemara is going to address what the schumra was. Once upon a time,
was the boat traveling when this was happening, or was?
Yes, the boat traveled out of the Tchum. Once upon a time, they were coming into port Friday afternoon, and by the time the ship got into the port, it was dark already. So the problem was, if they came from out of the Tchum on Shabbos, they might not be able to leave the ship. They might be stuck in their Dalit Amis. Are we allowed to leave this ship? You're allowed to leave the ship. You know why? Because you're allowed to. I was looking with my telescope to see exactly what position we were in when Shabbos arrived. And I verified we were already within the Tchum of this city before it got dark, and therefore we're considered like we're in the city. It's funny because Rabbi Bartfeld was discussing this week if in Australia there are those who learn, and Akiva Bolter can tell us his son had a story. His son was in Australia, and one Sunday, some rich member of the community took him in his boat on the water. And there's a tzad to say that Australia is the international dateline, and the moment you leave the land and you go into the water, you're a day back. And that means I think he got a call from his Rav that you may not leave that boat, and you can't hang up the phone either, because it's Shabbos for you, because you crossed international dateline merely by being in the water. And therefore it's Shabbos for you, and you cannot bring your boat in until dusk, until nighttime, or it's Oy Shabbos. But there are those who learn that up to maybe even a couple of kilometers out, it's still considered part of the land.
I think Akiva showed us a picture, and he was with a certain chief rabbi.
That's right.
A former chief rabbi. I wonder what he did.
I'm not sure. So Akiva's not here, so he can't tell us.
Yeah, he didn't even want us to show the picture around.
Yeah.
It was a great picture.
Gimel Dvorim, Mavirin es Adam al Daito val das Koinoi. 3 things cause a person to lose his das and to do things that aren't good for him and do things that are against their Rebbeinu Shalom. Elohein, these are them. If someone is I think this means if someone's being over Avodah Zarah, right? That's right. Oh, no, that's not what it means. The article title means if goyim are oppressing us to be over. So we're being pressured by goyim to be over the mitzvahs. V'ruach ra, someone who's not of sound mind doing things that are improper. And v'dektuke aniyas, and extreme poverty. They simply throw a person off their game, and they're just someone who's suffering from any one of these 3 things is not doing well. Why is it relevant for us to know? So to ask Rachmanis. Now there's a shaila what this means. Either it means is even normally you're not supposed to daven for something. You're not supposed to daven for a chayla who's not sick. I'm not supposed to daven for somebody Yanko, I'm davening for him that he shouldn't get sick, or I'm davening for him that he should get better. He's not sick. But these things, being that they bring to such bad things, you could even daven for a person that he shouldn't suffer from ruach ra, he shouldn't suffer from duke anis, and he shouldn't suffer from oivdik kacham. That's one shot. The other shot is, so you're allowed to daven for yourself that you should never have these issues. The other shot is that if you see somebody who is suffering from one of these things, you have to. It's incumbent upon you to daven for him because you know he's suffering badly. Gimel, 3 people ain't right pnei Gehenna. There's 3 things that if you suffer with them in your life, you'll have a kapara in this world and you won't go to Gehenna. Eloin, the dikka nears, poverty cleans a person that he'll never have to see Gehenna. V'chayla ma'ayin, and stomach problems, v'rishus. And Rashi says that rishus is, let's see what Rashi says. Rashi rishus sheyesh le'noishin, someone who owes money and people are running after him for money. The others learn rishus means if he has problems with the law, he has problems with the government. Those 3 people, the suffering is so great that they won't go together. The yesh aimer af mi sheyesh le'ishara, even someone who has a bad wife. The idach, the person who doesn't list that, is ishara mitzvah l'garsha. You don't suffer with her. You're bringing it upon yourself. You're not going to get a kapara. Get rid of her. The idach, you can't always get rid of a wife. Zimnin diksubasa meruba. Your alimony might be so much that you might not be able to get rid of her. Inami isli balimina. Once you have children, you can't get rid of her. Why is it nagay to know that these things save someone from Gedem? Like a that if someone is suffering from these Yisurim, he should be makabel the Yisurim Bahava because he's going to have great benefit from it. He's not going to go near Gehenna. There's a say over a famous story that somebody learned this Gemara that if he has a Isha Ra, he's going to go straight to Gan Eden. So he called the Shadchan and he says, I want you to find me a machshaife, a witch with a capital B. You want to go to Gan Eden? So the Shadchan says, I've been asked many different requests before. This is a little unusual. I don't have anybody in my Rolodex categorized that way. Not under B, not under W, not under M. But give me some time, I'll find somebody for you. So a couple of days later, he called the guy back and says, I found the perfect girl for you. She's ugly, she's nasty, she's selfish, she's stubborn, she's loud. She has every chasudin in the book. He says, perfect, I want to do it. And he does the shidduch, and they come home after the wedding, and she's so nice to him. She treats him like a king. Let me take care of you. Let me dress you. Let me wash your clothing. She was unbelievable. She was treating him, and he said, something's wrong over here. So he calls the shadchan after a week, and he says, you liar. You shadchan, you got it what you are. I paid you big shadchanos to find me the ultimate rishanta, and this woman, she's serving me hand and foot. So the shadchan scratched him and said, really? That's so strange, because that's not at all what I heard about her. This is very strange. Maybe I have a talk with her. So he says, okay. So he asks his wife, I don't understand. When I found out about you, I found out that you're so selfish and so nasty. And for some reason, you're so nice to me. She said, I learned the Gemara that says that someone who marries a nasty wife is going to go straight to Gan Eden. No one's going to Gan Eden on my back. Zog the Gemara weiter. Shloisha Mason Kishahain Misaprin. 3 people literally die from 1 second to the next. They can be strong, they can be healthy, they can be talking, and boom, they just go. Who are those people? A woman who's giving birth, and someone who suffers from this disease. It starts in your throat, goes into your stomach. It's not a geshmaka sickness. Why do I need to know this? To prepare tachrichim for them. So that's the pasha the touch, to prepare tachrichim. But what it means is a person who has these elements, lo yaleinu, should do tshuva and should prepare his estate and prepare his family, because just because he feels good and strong, he could disappear at any minute. Amar Nachman, Amar Shmuel. Yotzel das ein lo ela arba amas. If a person knowingly leaves the tchum, He's stuck within his 4 amos. Zog to Gemara Pshita. Why do I need Rav Nachman or Shmuel to tell me this halacha? Hashtain our Mishnah Misha Tziu Nachrim Ein Leil Dalar Amos. If you're forced out by Nachrim, you're stuck in your Dalar Amos. Yotzel Das and Boy. Do I need Shmuel to tell me that if you purposely violate the Tchum, that you're stuck in your Dalar Amos? Ella Ema, you're right. That's not what Shmuel said. What Shmuel probably said was Chazer Ladas Ein Leil Dalar Amos. He was captured. And then he got away from his captors, and he walked into the city. He only has Dalar Amos. So I don't need you for that either. Hanami, because the Mishnah says, Hechziru Nachrim, if the Nachrim brought him back, then it's Kilo Loyotza. And we can make a dik, Hechziruhu, Dechilo Loyotza. Only if they brought him back do we consider it like he never left. Avaloitziyu Nachrim, but if Nachrim kidnapped him from the city, and he came back on his own, so that's not either what the Chiddush of Shmuel would be. Elo, let's say this is the Chiddush of Shmuel. Ema Yotzel Das, if he left knowingly and he violated the Tchumen, Vechziru Nachrim, and the Nachrim forced him back, even then, Ein Lo El Dalar Amos. He only has Dalar Amos. In fact, Gemara, I don't need Shmuel for that either. Hanami Tanina, that's also a brisa. Because this Hetziu Vechziru, if they both took him out and then brought him back, it's as if he never left. So we can be like, unless the goyim did both, only there who did but if he went out by himself, then even if goyim brought him back, weiter he would only have Dalar Amos. So why do I need Shmuel to tell me the chiddush? So to Gemara, I would have thought that when the Bryce says Haitziyu, Vichsiru, it's not one case. It's 2 separate cases. First Haitziyu, which means Misha Haitziyu Nachrim. If Nachrim took him out of the city, even if he came back knowingly, Ein Lo El Dalar Amos. And we'll be medayik from there. Aval Yotzel Das. But if he left the city on purpose, Vichsiru and Vichsiru Nachrim, and the Nachrim took him back, Mebu Ki'il Lo Yotzel. Maybe it's as if he didn't go out. Kamash Malon, Shmuel, that if he went out Ladas and they put him back in, it's still Chayiv. He's still stuck in the Dalar Amos. Kamash Malon. Now we have an interesting shaila. If you're stuck out in Dalar Amos, what happens if you got to go? Boy Menei, Meirabba. Hutruch in the cave of Mao. You're stuck in your Dalar Amos and there's no potty in the Dalar Amos and you got to go to the bathroom. What are you supposed to do? Omer Lahem, Rabbi told them, Godol covered abrios. Covered abrios is so great, and having to relieve yourself is surely covered abrios. Shedoicha es loisa shabbatayr. It'll be doicha loisa in the Torah. The loisa here tchumen is derbanon. So kol shekein the tchumen which is derbanon, even if it's deraisa, you can violate the tchumen in order to go to the bathroom. Amina Dardoish. Dardoish said, if this guy who's stuck in his Dalar Amos is a smart guy, and he has to go to the bathroom, he's not going to go to a tree in the forest. He'll say, I want to go to my bathroom at home. He'll go into the tchum to go to the bathroom, and even the and once he got back in, he could already hang out in his whole tchum, and he gets out of his quarantine. Omar Papa, if Paris left the tchum, and the loch is, even inanimate objects, anything has to stay where its owner is. So if I'm in the city, though the tchum of the parish are in the city where I am. If my parish were removed, the chazru, and they were brought back, I feel amazing, even if they were brought back on purpose, lo yifsidu es makoymon, you could still move them around in the city again. My timer, anisinu. Parish are always a nuisance because a fruit can't take itself in and out. So someone takes the fruit out, someone brought the fruit in, that's all considered an oinus, and therefore the fruit's not going to be, won't be movable to Dalar Amos. The pairs are always usher. Dafke if they came back, shogigen. and not b'mezid. I mean, someone had to bring him by mistake. The shogegin b'mezid loy. So how is this consistent with our Papa, who said that even b'mezid, the Paris could be in the whole tchum, it's not stuck to the Rambas. So tomorrow Tanoim, to Machlokes Tanoim, and the Mishnah on Shabbos will pick up with the Machlokes Tanoim. So I'm happy we were able to finish off the last day of the year. We started the last day of the year with Torah. So Rabbi should help the Yom B'Shana Chasam Shana, the Rosh should look at it like every single day we learned a lot of Torah. We should have all the credit of this year.
Amen.
And in fact, this year we had Nabach the COVID, and the Masechta of Shabbos carried us through the COVID. So it was Torah that really pulled us through this year. Hashem Shadab, we should be healthy and happy and strong for another year, for many, many more years. We should be able to learn together and daven together and have kiddush together and have simchas together. And we should have only a year of simcha and bracha and atzlach and masla.
Amen.
Amen.
See you, everybody. See
What
you.
time is it tomorrow morning?
Atzlach tomorrow morning.
What time is it? 5 or 5:15?
5:15.
Okay, we'll see you there.
We're rooting for you.
Okay, thank you very much. And have a good night.
Good night.
Shkoyach Chesed.
Bye.